Wonderful person, and welcome. Welcome to this moment in time for you. I am broadcasting from a beautiful home of a lifelong friends of mine in Cape Cod. And this is the glorious setting of their dining room. And you can hear the lovely echo in here. And I have a live studio audience today again, which is so exciting. My dear friend is here as well. And today, where this is being broadcast, is a new moon in Libra. And so, whenever you're receiving this in time and space, we are time travelers. Time is such a great illusion. It's wonderful for the game of creation, but we have within us the ability to transcend time, to move within time and space. And it is said that the problems that we see in this earth, the solutions to them lie by taking a daring dive into the now, into the eternal now, into that space, into that timelessness, really spacelessness. But the way we can feel that still being in bodies and still having minds is that feeling of all is well. That deep breath in and deep breath out, because the theme for this, what I get to be a conduit for you personally, and for everyone and everything, is the release of regrets. This is no regrets in Libra season. Oh, so we are in a new moon, and in a new moon, where the moon, there'll be no moon in the sky on September 25th, 2022, in the Eastern, well, all over the world. But for me personally, what that means, a new moon is tied to the energy of new potential. When women ovulate, we ovulate when we're in harmony with nature and each other on the new moon. And it comes to fruition, whether there will be a baby coming, if that is to be, or whether it's to make way for another new energy, comes to fruition at the full moon. So throughout time, those humans, as we've gained consciousness, have aligned ourselves to receive the support of the greater cosmos of which we are a part. It is so easy to forget that we are citizens of a great cosmos. Anytime I watch anything that has to do with the greater galaxies, I am inspired. I'm in awe. I'm like that. I feel that song, I Hope You Dance, that says, I hope you feel small when you stand next to the ocean, but not small in the sense of being insignificant, but just like, oh, wow, there is some greater existence that I'm part of. And what's happening right now on this day in the eternal now, being broadcast into the fleeting now, is that, and I wrote it down because I'm not an astrologer by trade, but I am sure smart enough to take advantage of the energy that made the galaxies and spins things and all of that. So where did I write it? Oh, I write it right on the thing. That this new moon is exactly conjunct with the supergalactic center. Did you know there was a supergalactic center? I didn't until I was preparing for this. It is exactly conjunct with the supergalactic center, which comprises 30 galaxies, of which the Milky Way is a part of. And in this, we all rotate around a huge, I mean, beyond my mind's comprehension, massive black hole. Is that something that this is as close as we're going to be to the supergalactic center? And if you know me, you know that Cindy James, a former trial attorney, is now a universal lawyer. And I started something called the Galactic Council of Women, All Genders Welcome. And I lots of times afterwards like to say, because why the fork not? Why the fudge not? I mean, I am devoted to unleashing the childhood imagination in all of us and combining it with our adult consciousness and wisdom and deeply caring heart and perspective to uplift everyone and everything. And shame or regrets hold us back. The fear of feeling shame and the regrets and what regrets can do to cripple our psyche in the present moment is a diversion of our energy. Very well played game, Infinite Creator, however you know it. But now we're waking up. This is the age to awake now. And to awake now means that we're going to release these regrets. And the new moon in Libra and being so close to this galactic center and a massive black hole, which, I mean, I looked up about black holes and I certainly learned about them back in the day, but I just think it's fascinating stuff. And whenever I contemplate my little human Cindy in this chair, in this beautiful home in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, in the United States of America, on the North America, on the planet Earth, in the solar system, in the greater cosmos, the Milky Way, and now 30 galaxies, a part of 30 galaxies spinning around this massive black hole. I think, what am I worrying about? Why am I worrying? I mean, I always use this analogy. I knew there was something greater for sure. I was a devout young Catholic. I mean, I loved everything. I loved every sacrament. I didn't love penance so much because I received penance when I was 7 and I didn't really know what I was doing wrong. So I used to make up sins to go to confession. I thought you needed 3 sins before I would go. So I would do things like say, "Oh God," out loud and be like, "Oh, I used the Lord's name in vain." And I would come up with 3 sins. But I loved the sacraments and I still do. And I love the idea of a sacred ritual. It's not empty and it's not rote and it's not forced, but it's a ritual that helps us connect to the infinite part of ourselves, the sacred, eternal, infinite part of ourselves. And that the paradox is, I used to think that if I became a really spiritual person, I would miss humanity. I would miss the pleasures of being human. Well, I'm going to tell you this morning, we went to a French bakery, a patisserie. I mean, going for maybe one thing, coming back with many, and enjoying that. This dear lifetime friend of which I'm so blessed to be part of. We had our first 3 babies together. I went on to have Oopsifor, perfectly designed. She understands. Whenever I'm with her, I understand how to savor the moment. And I think it's no accident that this live stream is coming from her home, her new creation, the product of her heart for her family and her friends, of which I'm so blessed to be part of. So being spiritual and living from the divine perspective, the infinite eternal, does not mean we miss our humanity. It means, sweet Lord, we get to enjoy it. And in order to enjoy it, we have to take ourselves out of this constant measurement. You know, there's this quote that says, measurement is misery. Now, I certainly measure. I just spent a week in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, it's what a life I'm leading right now. And I had more food and wine in 1 week than I think I had in 6 months. I think the food part is an exaggeration, but certainly the wine. But staying with a group of women artists who are all my senior, who have been coming together year after year to the same place on an island, on a remote part of the island that I had never been to. I'm 57 3/4. I'd never been to Martha's Vineyard. I liked it. It was also the time that the immigrants were being brought there. So there was political stuff going on. And I thought, how wonderful that I get to be me there at that moment, not just for me. Because what I know about regrets have nothing to do with making mistakes. I mean, let's put that on a banner following a plane. By the way, when I was in Martha's Vineyard, there was one of those planes that flies by and it said "Vineyard Hypocrites" was the tagline coming after the little prop plane that you see at vacation spots where they're advertising, a bucket of wings for $1 or whatever it might be. Wouldn't be $1 anymore, but I lose my train of thought. I love that about myself. So let's go back to Martha's Vineyard and see if I can piece together what I was talking about. Oh, the regrets business, and being with this group of women, 7 other women who have gone through life and have gone through all the things that people go through. And to see their presence, I was held, I said, in the bosom, which isn't that a great love? Remember Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks? And I think his name was Steven Scolari. I don't know, Peter Scolari, Steven Scolari. I worked with his cousin when I was a lawyer 100 years ago. Is that the lawyer?
Steve is the lawyer.
Okay, so Peter is the actor. So that show, but the bosom, I just kept saying, I'm held in the bosom of wisdom and compassion, and women that have gone through things that I've gone through: divorce, estrangement of children, addiction issues of those that I love, feeling alone, feeling hopeless, feeling that I don't matter. And what I was doing there, I mean, it was so divinely inspired that I was invited by my dear friend Marie, who I went to France with her as well in June. She invited me to come. She goes, about a month ago, would you like to go to Martha's Vineyard with a group of my artist friends? And I said, yep. I did. And I love saying yes to those kind of opportunities. I'm like, yep, I've been over to the Squiggles. which, as you know me, money's not a real thing. It's what people agree is power. It's squiggles on paper or a screen. We agree it's limited and we suffer. I am on this planet to dissolve the delusion of lack and all the insidious pain it causes. I am here to help merge the heart of humanity with the soul of money, which is a feminine force, by the way. And that book is flowing through me right now, to create a better world for all gender classifications and none. And so being with them, it was so perfectly designed because I 3.5 years ago, I went on an antidepressant, and I'm grateful for it because I was experiencing the kind of dread that had me with my arms crossing my belly, feeling compassion for myself right now. And I would double over. And it's how I lived for months. My brother had just died. My marriage was ending in earnest in not a pleasant way. I have not spoken about this on any of my live streams, but I'm feeling ready to, because what I've discovered is there's so many people going through this. I became estranged from my oldest son, and who is now my daughter-in-law. And another son went through intense stuff. And at this moment in time, it's been 3.5 years since I've spoken or seen my oldest. And with my third child, it's an issue. And it's hard. And I'm so grateful for the support. How I got the medication was that in a really vicious kind of scenario with my ex-husband, and I'll say I was vicious too. I mean, it's so satisfying to the lower self to blame, but I know that everything happens for some greater plan, and that my higher self, his higher self, everyone's higher self, however you know the greater, I'm going to do my litany because I love it. God, Great Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, Baba, Allah, Krishna, Ram, Zoroaster, science, nature, love, goddess, universe, divine, higher self, higher power, source. However you know that which is greater than yourself is immersed in every scintilla of everything that happens here. The game of existence is for us to wake up and enjoy it. And I was not enjoying existence 3.5 years ago. I was terrified that everything that I thought should be really should not be. And what I recall, and I will say that this is maybe my perception of it and not the truth, is that I was told by my ex-husband that if I didn't go to an effing psychiatrist and get on effing medication, no one would ever talk to me again. And I did. And I went and I got on medication. And I'm so grateful for that support. And I've been ready for the past few months to step down from that, because let me tell you, it's a rat bastard humdinger of a process. And my incredible psychiatrist, a very amazing man, when I told him that I was stepping down, this is how I describe it, again, it's my perception. He reacted like I just told him I wanted to drown all the puppies in the world. Like, Cindy, no, don't do that. And I had a discussion with him where I felt compressed, and I agreed to continue. And I want to tell you, I was saying to my Creative Force team for Prosper Plus and the Galactic Council and all of the ways that we're getting to serve in our flavor, is that I've been saying for years that I only have one regret, but I can't remember what it was when I was saying them. I've always said, I don't regret anything except this one thing, but I couldn't remember what it was. I remembered this week what my one regret is. My one regret is acting and continuing to act from fear and from suppression of my intuition because of what someone else or something else thinks I should do. I say should is the only curse word. Say all the rest of them, but should takes you from where you are and tortures you or hurls you into a place you are not yet. And so I kept taking it for a few days. And I want to say the prevailing opinion from everyone, spiritual healers and classic mainstream medicine and family and friends, was, well, are you sure, Cindy? You just went through a breakup. I mean, with what just happened, if you followed me, I was to be married in July and I wasn't. It was only a 5-month relationship. It was a comet that took off and needed to end. And I'm ready to reclaim my brain chemistry, not because I didn't have it before, but because who and what I am in the world, it was just time. I now am the support that I need. I have such a community of friends, and even this moment in time, again, surrounded in universal and human support, which are really one and the same. And it was time. And so I went off the medication, and the symptoms were wild nausea, extreme dizziness, fatigue, body pain, and wildly horrible nightmares. Every cast of character from every movie I've seen or person I've been in with that ever, did me wrong in my own abacus of measuring in misery came full force. But I will tell you, last night, the dreams have now switched. The body pain is gone. The dizziness is still there. I feel a little thick talking to you guys in my head, even right now. But I had a dream that the young woman whose bedroom I was staying in and her boyfriend, who I've never met, to my best awareness, and it may not have been him, were helping me birth a baby. And I was guiding them on how to help me. She's a light of the world, by the way, that young woman whose room I stayed in last night. And so regrets are when we use our limited personality or the limited personality of anyone else to judge our eternal worthiness and to judge that there is hopelessness where there's hope. Whenever we get stuck in pessimism, which it happens here, that's why I went on those happy little drugs years ago, and certainly why I will still continue to nurture myself when I'm feeling the intensity. I mean, I manage my feelings having to do with estranged children every day. And it's such a part of a construct. This should never have happened, but it did. So what do you do with that? What do you do when the should never have happen and keep happening and keep happening? Well, then I believe there's a beautiful quote that goes something like this. And it's from Meher Baba. And if you know me, Meher Baba is he's my guy, great spiritual master of the age, and said something like this. It is completely natural to be 100% miserable at times. And it's at those times that the mind has no choice but to surrender to the heart. And in those times, God, however you know the greater, dare not deny you, and you get relief from your predicament. This game called creation is a game of forgetting and remembering, of fight and surrendering. And the paradox is the surrender is not a submission. It's learning the art of taking your stand on the truth within. And that I would have regretted if I had stayed on that medication. Now I have an appointment with my psychiatrist via Zoom this week, and I have to work with feeling, how am I going to interact with him? And do I need to at all? Do I owe him anything, or what it might be? So I will say no regrets in Libra season. Libra is the sign of balance, of harmony, of fairness, of relationships, of the scales of justice, of law. But I will say its truth is of universal law, not human-made law. Universal laws are that you are a forever being having a human experience. Universal laws are you will have consequences to your actions, but not of punishment, because you're the creator, embodied in human form. You're a spark of all that is, having a human experience, a child of the creator. The creator, the greater and the greater, the creator. And there is a joy that comes with that. So a new moon in Libra is a time to be able to rest and rejuvenate as the scales of justice balance according to the universal truths, not the human effing facts. Because the human effing facts, I mean, I was a trial lawyer. I can put facts any way you want. I, at this moment, could be a master to prove that I should be suffering right now. And by the way, I'm pretty good at it. I do that occasionally. I prove that I should suffer, and I do suffer. I did that. Part of when I was just expressing with tears was really me expressing in the moment, but I had to watch that my psyche could then indulge in keeping me there rather than letting it come. So I will say in Libra season, no regrets is knowing the difference between healthy remorse, which is like, oh, I could have done that differently. I'm going to do it now because I'm free, and the past and the future are illusions. The only thing that exists is the now. And in my breath and the now, all the power that made the heavens and the earth with the benevolent, merciful, wise, blissful, compassionate force of everything that made everything is within me. And then I can devote myself to being a planetary force for truth, an empress of infinite supply and radiant love of the Galactic Council of Women, all genders welcome, because why not? And yes, imagination, no shame, moving forward. So that only regret and bring it into healthy remorse is not acting from our deeper intuition. Because what we think should happen might not ever have been what we really needed. I love this quote that God, however you know the greater, doesn't always give us what we want because God knows we deserve much better. I didn't want COVID in Paris. But because of that, I didn't terminate the lease on my apartment. Because of that, when I came home and I wasn't my spanking wonderful self, and that kind of, the shit hit the fan, and that relationship ended as it needed to be, as it was designed to be. And that became the greatest catalyst for me having removed, and you get relief from your predicament, this craving or belief that I've had since I was 10 and the hormones started pulsing and the breast started budding and all that kind of stuff, that I needed to be in relationship with a man in a romantic way to be secure, safe, lovable, beautiful, whole, all of the things. And that is gone. Oh, thank you, universe. Thank you, that relationship. Thank you, my ex-husband. Thank you, COVID. Thank you, that spiky little protein virus. And I will be bringing us into the new moon ignition, the 5-step now. Let me just check time. But what I want to say first is, before I go into the ignition, is that the gratitude for every experience that we have isn't a self-flagellation. It isn't like, oh, thank you, ma'am, may I have another kind of beating for what happened, or being able to hold on to the good things out of the fear of the loss. Gratitude is an energy that comes from the perspective of our soul. And it sees, if you've ever had the experience of watching a child learn to crawl or learn to walk, there's no regrets when the child falls down and goes boom. And there's no force that needs to be exerted on them to do that. It's just encouragement. It's just understanding and encouragement and delight as they find their way up. And maybe they learn to crawl backwards first, or kind of like a military person going under the ropes, or how they learn to pull themselves up, or how you even did, how you learn to go from baby to who you are now is something to be delighted in and to feel the gratitude for. Grace is an energy that comes from the soul and the greater, that flows on us to help us awaken to the greater perspective. And the new moon in Leo season now, with 6 planets in retrograde. Well, let me tell you what that means. I don't really know, except that 6 planets are closer to us and they're affecting us more. I wrote down the 6 planets because I couldn't memorize them all. Mercury. You ever hear Mercury in retrograde? There's a light side and a positive side. This is a time to rethink your thoughts and get your ducks in a row. Align with your core true values and not the things that you always thought you should do. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, a personal friend of mine. My moon is in Taurus, which is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is just positivity and wonderfulness. So Jupiter is closer to now. Saturn, normally I hear the Jaws music when I hear Saturn or Pluto. Both are in retrograde by now. But Saturn also brings so much wisdom, and Pluto brings us the ability to tear down the old that isn't working, even though we've become so attached to it. And then there's Uranus. I'm always happy to say Uranus. And then Neptune. They're more mystical planets to me, that they bring us more into the energies of new thought and new possibilities. So all of these things are closer to us now. And while it may feel like in your body and mind and in your family structures and in your community and on your planet that things are really unraveling in an apocalyptic Armageddon type way, which I could prove. I'm sure you can too. This is a time to pledge allegiance to the deeper truths and the energy which made creation. This is the time to become a warrior for the infinite that supports the finite, to become aligned and to infuse your human personality with the delights of love, of forgiveness, of being a forgiveness ninja. One of my delights about today is that I usually in my office have a stand that I put my computer on. And I said to my friend, I need like a box or something. So I'm on a box, a new Ninja blender. I'm like, that is perfect. It was either the air fryer or the Ninja. And we went air fryer first, but it was too hot. I was looking up. And then this is more contemporaneous with my eyes. And that reminds me also, Libra is an air sign. So you might get stuck in more of the thoughts, and information is going to flood to us like crazy from all over and from so many sources, sources that you like and sources that you don't like. My invitation to you is to let the information that comes to you align with the truth of unconditional love, infinite hope, unlimited prosperity, the eternal life of the soul, even after the body takes its last breath. Us understanding that death is not the last act of a cruel or absent God. It's a change of state. And when death comes in relationships, it's probably necessary. And I love this. My brother tells me this all the time. When it comes to the estrangement with the offspring, I like to say offspring. They sprung off me. my children, they're grown people. Is that if they don't want to be in relationship with you, that's probably what's in your best interest. And to allow them to find their own way and to have the faith in them to do that. And that's what I now know, that regardless of the status of relationship, if I'm suffering, it's because I forgot that I am still loving and love still comes to me. It's just not happening the way I thought I should. That terrible curse word should. Do I pray for healing? Yes. Do every time I do my practices, do I include them? Yes. And including all my X's and O's, like from the song. Yes, of course. And then to move forward to create something new. So as we move forward into the 5-step magic of Libra, the magic of Libra is that we can solve the most unsolvable seeming problems when we drop or rise to the level of a universal, cosmic, divine law. And so in this 5-step new moon ignition process, let yourself open up to receive. Start 360-degree breathing. Like I say, you can breathe in through your nose, but know that you're having the support, the pure creative life force and the energy of the universe, also known as prana, come in through your nose to your body, but also every bit of your body, taking it in. I see it. You know, some people have some second sight abilities. I see it as squiggles. And that's why I think the money thing is so funny. But I see it as squiggles all over the place. It's almost too much for me. I have to keep sunglasses on, not because when it's sunny, when I'm outside, it's because the squiggles are so much my human eye has a hard time focusing on the human buildings when there's so much light vibration everywhere. But I'm learning, I'm growing in my capacity. So wonderful person, wonderful people, get ready. Step 1 is to let go of the limited story that you've told yourself about life. And in this moment, let yourself take your personality self and just put it aside on a nice, comfortable shelf. And let yourself just be the pure, radiant energy of you. The you that without a name, without a gender, without a religion, without a socioeconomic class, without an ethnicity, without a nationality, just the you. You know that you can feel right before you go to sleep or right before you're conscious in the morning? Just the you that exists. You exist. And letting go of all the details of the story so that you can start fresh with renewed energy, the new energy of a new moon, of a new egg, of a new sperm, of a new creation, a new life, infusing your soul with freshness. So it's just now a wash of letting go And that personality self hanging so secure on a shelf is getting a rush of the highest light energy, luminescent white with electrified violet and gold and pink just coming down, cleansing and revitalizing every cell of your body, every thought in the matrix of your mind, every bit of your energy field, and expanding to cleanse and purify and regenerate your environment, your home, your vehicles, your towns, your cities, your bank accounts, your relationships, your country, your planet, your solar system, your galaxy. And let yourself for a moment imagine this tiny part, this scintilla of energy seeming in the Milky Way galaxy, spinning with 29 other galaxies around a huge black hole. That's what we're doing. And then coming through the wormhole into step 2. Step 2 is to imagine in this present moment the feelings that you want to feel in your body. Do you want to feel free and in love and powerful and whole and healthy and lighthearted and creative and connected? Just imagine what it would feel like if all of your deepest heart desires, your purest heart's whims were fulfilled right now. How would it feel to be you? Keep breathing. This is the spiritual practice. This is the warrior for love. No matter who and what you are and where you are, that you can bring to yourself and the planet. This is the most potent energy of giving yourself the feeling of your wishes fulfilled. And then remembering this feeling and impressing it upon your consciousness, especially when you first wake up in the morning and when right before you go to sleep at night or any other time that you can devote this profound gift, the most meaningful gift a human being can give to themselves, is to allow themselves to feel what is and then to imagine and create the feelings that they want to move into. It is true spiritual warrior energy. Is to go to step 3 is to write it down. To take it out of the ethers and out of the feeling state and into, I just saw Jimmy Fallon, thank you, New Moon Ignition, for this. And I will tell you, as you write it down, write it in the abracadabra I am language, when it really is the magic word. I am, and then whatever it is, basking. I love this. I am loving and basking and taking care of my physical body, my mind, my finances, my environments, and my profession. That's an I am statement. It's not I want to, I am. And when you take it and you put it on the statement, it's a creative act. And it takes it from the mental plane into the more concretized realm. In one of the lineages that I'm a practitioner of called pranic healing, why it's red and gold when you see this, when you're doing this particular new moon ignition, is that those colors are the colors of creativity and manifestation. Red being traditionally associated with the basic or root chakra, which is very much about this earth. Babies come out of the root chakra. And the solar plexus chakra, which is in the upper belly, which has to do with our sense of personal power. Those colors, it's like, yes, I'm taking this from the longing of my soul, my incarnated spirit through my thoughts, and then I'm going to materialize it through that. So write it down. And then that's the third step in the portal. And then we're going to go to step 4, which is to allow something greater than yourself to rush in and make it so, to support you. Have you had the experience of wanting to take care or feed a baby or support an elderly person or someone who's sick or someone that's asking for a service, and not a codependency kind of unhealthy type of thing, caretaking thing? Have you ever felt that longing to take care of someone from the truth of what's really going to serve them awakening into their greatest freedom, health, happiness? That's the feeling that the greater has for you personally. You personally matter. Nothing matters more than how you know the greater, than you to receive the support so that you can fully enjoy this business of being human, to be able to go through the game of forgetting, which is pretty nefarious, forgetting that you're infinite, and then remembering while still in a body, and come through it with an increased sense of confidence, awareness, service, hope. It is just burgeoning. I love this quote from Abraham Hicks, that feeling overwhelmed is the feeling of not allowing all the support that you've been longing for to come in, that you've been praying for, that you've been wishing. And then we still go to divert our attention to those other ways that we've been so patterned to be attached to. It's a good game. It's well played. It's hard. It's a really complex game, but the simplicity, Dorothy, is that you had it within you all along. As we slide into the fifth step, through the wormhole into the fifth step, is to have fun as the new moon in Libra comes into the full moon, to allow yourself to, as a devoted disciple of joy, to eke out any bit or lots of bits of joy, of prosperity. Why I am the founder of Prosper Plus is because prosper means to flourish, to grow in well-being, to strengthen, to nurture. And prosperity, or how we know squiggles, is a means by which humans have agreed allow us to help do that. So as you come into having fun with this, and I will tell you, when I experience those experiences that I had when I just spoke about why I went on the antidepressants, I will say that's fun too. It is really an extraordinarily satisfying experience to allow your feelings to come and to let them crest and then come down on the other side. I like to say, I quote myself a lot. I think everyone should be quoting themselves, by the way. Quote yourself. Is that on the other side of grief is God, or however you know the greater. On the other side of that, that willingness to experience the pain of the illusion of being separate from the experience of love in the body and in relationship, whether it be through death or estrangement or whatever it might be, losing a job. On the other side is God, but it's the wisdom. It's just the knowing of, oh, all is well. It's an acceptance in a way that we energetically merge with the infinite force that made us. And then we get to use and direct that creative force. So wonderful. Oh, well, dear wonderful people, dear wonderful person, I highly encourage you to take a greater perspective of the details of your life, of those that you love, including everyone and everything on this planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy, spinning around the black hole, in the multiverses and all of that, and see a timeline, greater timeline than just the years of your life or those that you love, and see that we're in a time right now where the greater cosmos, that is as much created by the greater as we are, is serving us in this game of awakening. And we are about to be going into one of the most firecracker, frenetic, potential, transformative times that have existed in my lifetime, certainly, and at least in the last couple 100 years. And the more that you can stay in your core self, to pledge allegiance to the truth that you are infinite, that love is everywhere, that light might not be, but that you are a creator. You have within you, your imagination force creates, and you can imagine and link energetic arms and hearts and minds and spirits and bodies with those people all over the world, like me and you, in this very moment, in the eternal now, who are willing to step out of the painful paradigm, as much as we liked it or we're attached to it, and go into something new. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality that we are creating from the level of our deeply caring hearts and spirits. That's what we're moving into. And I am so grateful. I'll do this now. Thank you, person who's been with me today, for collaborating in this energy, for collaborating and being with me while I am unleashing my imagination and using the gifts that I came to this planet with to be able to serve my freedom and immediately, and by virtue of that, be able to help uplift everyone and everyone at their invitation. Oh, dear, wonderful person. Love, power, and new moon in Libra. No regrets, no regrets. Blessings.